All right, welcome to In the Chute, round whatever this one is. Dad and I were just talking about something that's unusual, but especially recently in the last few years, because frankly, we just haven't gotten to be able to hunt much. But hunting is very much part of our culture, our lifestyle, and how we live, especially in Montana. And he was talking about how uh, him and my brother Braden took advantage of some extra time the other day. I think it was yesterday to butcher some deer that they had gotten earlier in the week. So go ahead, Dad.
Oh, it's just I guess we could start with the hunt first. I mean, we
Yeah.
had everything fed and decided to go out that afternoon and had some permission from a pretty good sized place, a couple places to go, and we went out and he's driving. Like, man, this is kind of nice. I can kind of look around and spot stuff, and I'm pretty good at spotting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking around, and we're up on top of a hill. And I'm like, this does not look good. I mean, you're always thinking along the lines of, okay, if there's no grass here, and this place was beat down pretty badly, it's like, man, did they overgraze? Do the grasshoppers also get them? I mean,
Oh,
it
yep.
was like, I kind of made him. You know how you can't make him laugh very very easily, right? I mean,
No,
it
not
takes
at
a
all.
lot. He's pretty stoic and
He
Viking-like.
enjoys. I think he enjoys being a grumpy pants, so that's why he partly
He
does it.
does.
Mm-hmm.
He does. It's 90% of it's an act, but he can follow through with it. But I said, man, I don't know if we'd want to eat something that we can kill here anyway. They're probably so thin running from blade of grass to blade of grass to find something to eat. I kind of laugh because he's a range guy. He's
Mm-hmm.
range management major, and so he's looking things over. He goes, yeah, this is pretty tough. So we decided to. I mean, we hunted a bunch of stuff out and looked around. There was, I mean, like nothing. There was some old sign, but that was it. So then we moved on, and I was telling about some of the country I rode as a kid, and we're headed towards that area that I rode with my mom's dad, Grandpa Yates Allen, and for number of years, every day you're up at 4 and ready to roll, and of course being 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, that's a big deal. A lot of, and you don't think it's the best time of your life at the time, but as it, you look back and go like, God, I wish I could just spend some time
Do
with
that
them doing
again.
that again, or have you guys be with me when we're doing that, trying to pass that kind of stuff on. But the same experiences. But anyway, we get a little closer. It's like, okay, here's more grass. Look at this. Now we might start seeing something. So we parked and did. And neighbor rancher must have some guys out looking because they come. You're supposed to stay on the roads, and we got out. We're walking and down into this area. It was quite a drop in elevation, and we're coming back out of that. So I had spotted some deer, but we weren't sure exactly where they were. So we thought we'd put a sneak on them, and get to them, and seeing if they were on the right side of the fence, take a whack, and if not, well then, okay, big deal. And we got down there, and they were on the other side of the fence. Like, all right, so we worked back up this canyon, and here comes these guys on a side by side and it's on not their property, but they are all over the place, and it's muddy, and they're just making tracks and just buzzing around, and like they're bahan. I'm like, are you kidding me? And they stop, and I could kind of hear them talking about, oh, those guys, and they say, they think or they know that they must know they're on, the place we're on. I was like, and I'm just catching most of, about every other or every third word, just enough to kind of get the gist of what's going on. They stop and they turn, and I'm like, you better not point a rifle at me.
Oh yeah.
Look at me through a scope, man. And so I can't tell whether they did or not. I don't think so, but anyway. So then they took off, and then we took off. We went around another spot and pushed a. We saw some deer, and he worked one side, worked the other, and I got one, and then he got one, so it worked out. Brought him home, cooked deer to heart that next night, and
There
some
you go.
tenderloins. Yeah, had his girlfriend asked her if she wanted to come out, and it's a school night. She's a school teacher like your mother is,
Yeah.
and she's like, yeah, okay, because it's a commitment for them. I mean, even a few hours off during the night, but she brought her computer, so she's doing lesson plans, before we're eating, and we ate and visited, and then she's doing some more, and then then the two of them kind of hung out for a bit, and then she went home. But and it's like, oh God. So we didn't know whether she liked heart or not. So we didn't tell her what it was. And I also fixed a little tenderloin just in case she didn't, like it. But
Yeah,
as she
smart move.
chowed that right down,
She
she
liked it,
told
huh?
I asked her if she wanted to come and eat. She goes, anytime you'll feed me, I'm in.
There's a win.
Yeah. So then yesterday we went ahead and butchered these guys up, let them set, it was like what, 3 days, I think we had some
Mhm.
feeding to do. And it's like, let them age a little bit and cut them up, got done with that. And then took them in. We made, of course, the back straps, we made butterfly steaks out of them, wrapped them up. And then the rest of it, we put all of the rest of it into burger size chunks, cleaned it, did everything with it, prepped it. So it's just ready to go into a grinder, and then took it into the one of the local butcher shops that does really good sausage. And so he got some sausage he wants. We got some sausage we want. And then we're going to, we'll swap. And so we get a little bit of everything on that. But I was kind of nice. It's like, hey, you want to do this? And he's like, no. Well, we got it. Let's plan on doing it. So we did it. And thank God for, I had the television on, and I'm just so sick of the news. It's not news. It's just propaganda. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you have any music we can listen to? Let's just get this stuff off here. So just negative, and it's not even news anymore. I mean, it's just propaganda. Whatever side you look at, it's propaganda.
Yeah.
And so we were listening to old songs, and he was telling me some of the old, like, Marty Robbins songs as we're cutting meat, and
Nice.
cleaning this stuff up. And
did you listen to Waylon? Because we started this conversation listening to "Mama Don't Let Your Babies Grow Up to Be Cowboys."
yeah, you had that one on, and he was telling me about, like Marty Robbins, like El Paso, and then there's the sequel is El Paso City. Mm-hmm. Well, I had no idea there's one called Felicia, which is about the girl. It's like a trilogy of that story.
Yeah, Braden told me
I had no idea.
It's kind of like he's got like a little story saga in the songs.
Yeah, and it's the different perspectives and different times, and the other one clearly was like a reincarnation type of perspective, and then the early perspective, and it was that song's like 8 minutes long. I had no idea that song even existed. It was like, well, that's cool. And then a couple others, like the song Big Iron, and then there was a sequel to that I had never heard before, the other perspective of that. So it was way cool. But yeah, we're cutting up deer and doing that. And of course, like normal, we get all done, and it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and
because it takes a lot of time. It takes
we started about 8, and 2 big deer. I mean, his was a really big bodied buck. I mean, it was big, and just the hamburger alone, makings for that filled 5 gallon-sized freezer bags.
Nice.
So you had just right at, I think it was it just under 50 pounds, 48 pounds, something like that, which is a lot, but I mean, you're able to, utilize almost of the meat, all of the meat except the back straps were, into steaks. So that's a good size. It was a big deer. It was a really big deer, but so got that done about the time your mom called and says, I'm coming home, anything you need, because she was at school all day. And he says, maybe we should take this into town, and then we'll maybe go to a pizza joint. I'm thinking, oh, sure. Okay. Whatever works for me. She comes home, and I said, I think he wants to go to pizza. She goes, oh, okay. We're sitting there going to have pizza. And I thought, a beer would taste really good with pizza. And then I realized, hey, we didn't eat today. I guess we just like I. Yep.
No, I thought it was interesting because it's something that a lot of people I don't think they think about on the other side too, is sometimes we don't just live off of the cattle that we produce. We also go out and get elk, deer. We've had fortunately, like bighorn sheep, moose. We've gotten to try some of that stuff, mountain goat, but a lot of that process too is we can talk about that at a different time, but there's the process of we have our own cattle and whatnot. And I remember helping, well, I didn't really help, I was out playing with the Hooterite kids, but butchering our own stuff like by hand, using working with the Hooterites. And then we've also used local butchers, which is what we've been doing for a while, and that seems to work out. But then there's also the wildlife and the game that we use, and that is a process when it comes home, because a lot of the times we'll do a lot of the butchering. And again,
Right.
that in itself is a system. Like, okay, let's take the shoulders, and we we're hanging it up, and we slowly work our way up the body, using up all the meat we can, and then doing what you're talking about, making our own steaks, wrapping it, storing it, and then whatever we choose not to do ourselves, we'll take it to the butcher.
Yeah, and any more like an elk. I mean, I could process one, but when I was working before and then doing all of this, there's no way in the world I could get to doing that. So I take an elk in and have it processed, which is it's like, well, it's a couple $100 to have it processed, but have I got the time to do it?
Right.
So it's you're better off sometimes doing that. But he wants to try something that one of the guys that's fought fire with him told him what they're doing is they take the long bones and cut them into about 6-8 inch chunks and then boil them and make what they call bone broth. So they're basically making a broth, like instead of bouillon,
Yeah.
they're making it out of that. And then you kind of render it. It's like an all day, and all you're doing is boiling the marrow out.
Yeah.
Super healthy, not any kind of chemical stuff added to it like
I say
a lot of these
super,
bouillons
like,
are.
high in a lot of nutrition and vitamins and
Oh,
stuff like that.
oh God, yeah.
Minerals.
Yeah. Bone marrow is fantastic. I mean, that's a survival food there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really. And so we got all of the long bones on these two animals. So we're going to do that. We're going to make some bone broth because
Nice.
he said his buddy does that. And they just they need some bouillon. They just kind of have it in a flattened Ziploc, and then they just break off what they want, add it to it. And they said it's fantastic. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's a good idea. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Who would have thought? I mean, we never thought about that before much,
Yeah,
but anytime we've had a bone in something, that was one of your grandpa Tex's favorite thing to do is if we had a bone, round bone that had a leg bone in it or something, and it was full of marrow. Oh man, he was all over that. He'd just suck
super
that
rich.
marrow out and chew on that bone.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, yeah,
All
good
right.
stuff.
So I think with that, we'll put it to pasture.